Hello, everybody. How's it going? I'm Craig. This is Spirit of Vinyl. Hope you guys all having a great day. Happy Monday. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend. Everybody out there in the vinyl community, hope you're all doing well. I was thinking when I started doing this, recording shows for YouTube and stuff, my thought was I was talking about the spirit of records, right? And the fact that I'd found a bunch of records, I had my own. I had records from my friend Rick. When he died, I got all his records, which weren't that many. People give me records, so my collection kind of became this like entity of its own thing. So I kind of felt like it had its own spirit. And over time, as I've been talking about it, I've kind of gotten away from that a little bit, but it's still there. That whole idea of the spirit of your record collection is still there. And now my son, who's going to be 19 in December, he's been buying records recently. So now his stuff is being integrated into the collection. And, one day he'll move out and I try to keep him separate in the Discogs thing. He has his own folder so we can take him with him when he leaves, or he'll leave him here until he gets settled and, take records back and forth and we'll share amongst ourselves or whatever was the plan, I guess. If he ever moves, you know how it is, in this economy, he may never get out of my house. So who knows? So anyway, Friday was payday. He was late getting home from work. I thought he was out buying cat food or doing something else. He comes home, he's got records in his hands. So, I can't be mad at the guy. I do the same thing most of the time. So, anyway, he brought some new records. So, we listened to some of those this weekend. So, I'm going to show that and some other stuff that, I've kind of listened to over the last few days since I saw you guys last. So, one of the first things he came home with, was this Deftones album. It's self-titled. It's from 2003. This is a 2020 repress. There's your track listing right there. And I really didn't know much of this at all. Never been. I like some Deftones music that I hear. But it was pretty good, I thought. It came with this insert with lyrics, and the back's got some pictures and like a little story and some, thank yous and stuff like that. The record itself was just black and came with a plain white inner sleeve. Has this, this is what the label looks like. So actually, let me flip that over so you can actually read it. So, but it was pretty good. I liked it. It's not the Deftones album I would have bought if I was looking for Deftones. I probably would have went with like Adrenalize or Around the Fur, maybe White Pony. So, but it was pretty good. I liked it. It was, that is, if you know the Deftones, you know the sound I'm talking about. So I thought it was pretty good. The other one he came up with, Nirvana in Utero. It's the first Nirvana album. Well, not the first. I have a greatest hits album, but this one's his. He bought this. He says this is the best Nirvana album. Never been a huge fan myself, but that's neither here nor there. It came with this cool inner sleeve. Has some pictures of the band back in the day. Some pictures here. This picture of Kirk right here. I like it. It's cool. It was a good record. What's on here? Serve the Servants, Scentless Apprentice, which when that song came on, I'd never heard. I'd only heard the radio stuff on here. That's a great song. Good hard driving stuff. Heart Shaped Box, Rape Me. Frances Farmer Will Have Her Revenge on Seattle. Dumb, Very Ape, Milk It. Penny Royal Tea, Radio Friendly, Unit Shifter, Tourette's, and All Apologies. It's actually a pretty good record. It's got all kinds of cool hits on it. A lot of those songs, like I said, if you're a fan, just had the plain black label. It's on Geffen Records. Plain black vinyl. But yeah, I thought that's a pretty good record too. The only other Nirvana I have in the collection is the Greatest Hits one that Walmart put out a while back, or I bought at Walmart anyway. So, but that's pretty good. So, you know, I've kind of gone back and forth with Nirvana, trying to decide if I, want to buy it or not. And he bought that, so I'll probably end up getting Bleach and Nevermind and calling it a day, more than likely. And the third one he came home with that day was way out of my normal listening. Dying Fetus reigns supreme. Um, it says it's on Pool of Blood edition. So if you don't know Dying Fetus, this is death metal. Here's the track listing on the back of it. It's on Relapse Records. And this is albums from 92 or from 2012, sorry. And this is a 2023 repress. My kid's kind of into death metal. He likes, Cannibal Corpse and stuff like that. So it has this insert here with lyrics and stuff on it. And the record itself is pretty cool looking. Let me get it pulled out here. It is that. So, I'm a big fan of the death metal type stuff. I like some bands, but I like that. I like that a lot. The vocals aren't necessarily all Cookie Monster type stuff, but some of it's not necessarily clean vocals either. But it's got cool riffs and it's pretty heavy. And the stuff I'm a lyric guy. I really enjoy lyrics, so I had a hard time understanding some of his lyrical content due to the style of the way he sings. But I thought it was a pretty good record, and I will definitely listen to that more often than maybe some of the Cannibal Corpse or whatever. I did kind of like it. So, like I said, really heavy though. So then the other thing we listened to that night, Stone Temple Pilots Core. This is sort of 92. Their album came out in 92. This is a 2022 repress. If I remember correctly, this is their debut. It's got Dead and Bloated, Sex Type Thing, Wicked Garden, No Memory, Sin, Naked Sunday, Creep, Piece of Pie, Plush, Wet My Bed, Cracker Man, and Where the River Goes. So, for a debut, pretty killer. It's got like 4 definite radio hits on there. Like I said, this was a 2022 repress. Didn't have any inserts or anything, but there's one of the vinyl. It's on Atlantic Records. There's your label. It's a red and black splatter. Looks pretty cool. Sounds really good. I like it. Stone Temple Pilots has always been a killer band. I don't have much of their stuff. I have this and oh hell, I've got Tiny Music on CD and I've got Purple on vinyl, and then I think a Greatest Hits album also. But yeah, we listened to that. That was pretty cool. Then I made him go back in time and we listened to this. Blue Cheer, Binge Bus Eruptum, 1968. There's your track listing right there. I'm assuming the biggest hit on here is probably Summertime Blues, but this is killer stuff. This is cool, heavy, early metal in my opinion. It's on Philips Records. There's the label right there. I don't have inner sleeve. I don't know if it came with an inner sleeve, but I've always loved that record. I have for a long, long time. To me, that's one of the first heavy metal albums that was ever made, in my opinion. I know lyrically it's not metal, but sound-wise, the way they down-tune and the distortion, everything else, great early stuff. That's from 1968. That was Friday night. Then Saturday, during the day, I was listening to some music while I was out here doing stuff. Listening to some Tokyo Blade, self-titled 1984 Roadrunner Records. There's the back. They have sort of a new wave of British heavy metal sound. Sometimes, but his voice doesn't quite fit that. Roadrunner Records, classic Roadrunner label. If this album had an inner sleeve in the past, I don't have it. It didn't come with it when I bought it. I think this is a pretty good record. It is kind of like I said, a little bit of a new wave of British heavy metal sound, but his voice, it's almost kind of like that 80s glam type sound also at the same time. And a little bit of like power metal, sort of like something like Halloween was doing or whatever. So, but it's actually a pretty good record. They didn't last a whole long time, but that's a good record right there. Tokyo Blade self-titled. And then what I was trying to do is basically listen to stuff I hadn't listened to in a while. So I'm going through Discogs, hitting random items, and if it was something I hadn't listened to in a while, I would listen to it. So I came up with this, The Bronx 2021. This album is called The Bronx, along with like 4 other of their records. Hype sticker right there, limited edition orange vinyl. This is like, they're listed as like a hardcore punk. When you look at their genre, like on Discogs, it says they're hardcore, and then it says they're punk. And I think they're closer to punk. They're not really hardcore punk, but they're not that poppy 90s stuff either. Like I said, this album's from 2021. I found these guys thanks to the guy at my record store when I was looking for like new punk music. He's like, "Oh, dude, check out the Bronx." So I did. It has an insert with lyrics on it. Not much to that, really. Inner sleeve looks like that, and the record is a nice day glow orange color. But if you like a punk kind of sound, this is actually a pretty good record. I would recommend it. Like I know it's listed as like a hardcore, but I don't think they're really hardcore. To me, that hardcore sound is like a lot shorter songs and really faster stuff. This is more punk. These guys are from LA, so they don't really have that New York hardcore sound. So maybe that's what's throwing me off when they're listed as hardcore. So, but to me, it's a punk album. I like it a lot. It's pretty cool. I've only listened to it once or twice since I bought it. So when this came up on Discogs in my random item thing, I'm like, all right, play that again. Haven't listened to it much at all. So, and then I went back to the 80s. Black and Blue, Nasty Nasty. This is from 1986. Geffen Records. Black and Blue, what most people know, their one big hit they had was Hold On to 18, not on this record. And if you look right here, that's Tommy Thayer, future member of Kiss at this time. And Gene Simmons produces this album, and Gene Simmons is all over this album. You can hear it when they play, you can hear it in the songwriting, and you can especially hear it in the title track, Nasty Nasty. The title track, Nasty Nasty, is basically just Domino by Kiss. Domino came later. He took the riff and everything from Nasty Nasty, which he wrote Nasty Nasty along with Jamie St. James and, and Tommy Thayer for this album. And like I said, Gene Simmons produced this album, and you can feel him all over it. You can hear him all over it. Got the classic Geffen label on there. Black and Blue, they're one of those, 80s bands, that had a hit and they almost were, or whatever, however you want to call it. I think they're a pretty good band. Kind of heavy for their time. They're more of that heavier sound rather than some of that glam stuff. Not a whole lot of ballads, more of a heavy guitar-oriented rock. I like this, but yeah, the song Nasty Nasty, like I said, it's basically Domino, and then it ends with a guitar solo vibe on its way out on the outro, which is essentially just taken right from The Elder, from the song Only You off Kisses the Elder. So definitely Gene Simmons is all over this record. And that's how he met Tommy. He was producing this band, and then when this band wasn't really going anywhere, I actually talked to Tommy back, and I met Tommy Thayer back in the early 90s before he was in Kiss, and he was basically working for Kiss and working for Gene. He was kind of like their road manager, and I talked to him for like 20 minutes, and he told me, Gene's like, hey, is your band ever really going to make it or not? Because if not, if you don't think they are, you can come work for me instead. So that's what Tommy did. He went and worked for Kiss for a while, and then after the reunion and all the fiasco and everything else, he joined Kiss, and the rest is history. He was in the band for 20 plus years. So longest tenured guitarist in Kiss history is Tommy Thayer. Like him or not. And then we finished off the weekend, Night Ranger Dawn Patrol. This is from 1982. It's on MCA Records. No inner sleeve. This is the inner sleeve. It's just got the MCA, the plain MCA logo, and all that on here. This is a pretty decent record. It's got Don't Tell Me You Love Me is their big hit off of this, and that's pretty much it. I didn't really know anything else on this record. And I was listening to this, and I'm thinking of Night Ranger back in the day and where I would classify Night Ranger. But the more I listened to this band, the more I realized they're not really like the 80s metal of the time. They are more like 70s hard rock stuff, keyboard heavy, closer to like what Journey was doing rather than like what Motley Crue was doing or whatever. But still, it's a good record. But I think this is their debut, if I remember correctly. But yeah, 1982 Dawn Patrol. So all these are great records. I enjoyed every single one of them. The Dying Fetus is going to have to grow on me. I'm not, like I said, not really a huge fan of death metal. So, but basically that's pretty much it. Just wanted to talk about kind of what happened this weekend, what I listened to, and those 3 records that my son added to the collection to kind of show what his tastes are doing, And he's only 19, but buying things like Nirvana and the Deftones, especially the Deftones, he's really into nu metal, which is odd for somebody his age to really be into nu metal like that. He loves Limp Bizkit and Korn and Kitty and Static X and Seven Dust and, the Deftones and all that era's music, which was basically around before he was born. But it's the stuff he grew up listening to because he was born in 05. And that's the kind of stuff we were playing at the time as he was a child and growing up. We were listening to that style of music. So it's no wonder it's his favorite style of music. That, and he's getting really into death metal. So, I guess I'll have more death metal in here. All the death metal that's in this collection is all my kids, all the Cannibal Corpse and different things like that. It's all him that does that. So he's becoming part of this collection. His style, my style, Mike's style. When I found those records, my buddy Rick, and then people who give me records, people at work hand me stuff. That's how come I have all this country music I don't listen to, but I have it. It's all part of the collection, and I do have to keep it because my wife is a fan of the country music. So every once in a while she comes out here and we have to listen to that. So to me, that's what the spirit of the record collecting is, me being able to morph in other people's collections, by chance or tragedy or whatever it was that caused it to happen, and kind of melding it with my own, and my son adding his to it creates this entity that is our record collections. And I don't know if you guys are the same way or if it's all you or not, but that's ultimately why I wanted to start this show, so I could talk about the collection and how it morphs and how it grows and what it leads to. So right now it's leading to newer stuff that my kids buying also. So all right, thanks guys. I'll talk to y'all in a few days. I hope y'all, like I said, had a wonderful weekend. It's Monday. I'm assuming you guys are getting home from work. If you're watching this, be safe the rest of the week. A lot of crazies out there. I want you all to be careful at work and get home safe and everything else. All right. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. And we'll talk to you in a few days.